morning. My name is Nancy Hand, and I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson. Welcome to our League's 9th annual Issues and Eggs event and our second all-virtual Issues and Eggs. We respectfully acknowledge that the League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson is on the land and territories of Indigenous peoples. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the Tohono O'odham and the Pasquayaqui people. We also humbly acknowledge that for most of its history, our organization has not been welcoming to women of color. As our CEO of the League of Women Voters US, Virginia Case Solomon, said in 2018, even during the civil rights movement, the League was not as present as we should have been. While activists risked life and limb to register Black voters in the South, the League's work and our leaders were late in joining to help protect all voters at the polls. It wasn't until 1966 that we reached our first position to combat discrimination. Still, our focus on social policy was from afar, not on the front lines, and African Americans were shut out of the vision of the League. Today, we invite all people, regardless of gender identity, ability, ethnicity, or race, to join us as we commit to righting the wrongs of our past and building a stronger, more inclusive democracy. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization encouraging informed and active participation in government. We neither support nor oppose candidates or political parties at any level of government. We do, however, advocate for public policy, such as voting rights, non-discrimination, civil rights, and criminal justice reform. We have been empowering voters and defending democracy in Greater Tucson for 81 years. This year especially, we have our work cut out for us. The 2022 elections will see a major change in the way we vote in Pima County. On February 15th, the Pima County Board of Supervisors voted to adopt a new voting system, which the League supports. New laws will affect the permanent early voting list and other aspects of voting in our state. With your support, we will work hard to inform voters of these changes and to make sure that all eligible voters have the information they need to make their voices heard in the midterms this fall. Over the past year, we have sponsored voter education programs on a variety of topics, including the history, use, and challenges of the filibuster, ballot initiatives and their history, including 2 current propositions, the Predatory Debt Collection Protection Act and the Justice for All ballot initiative in Pima County, which the League has endorsed, and criminal justice reform, including cash bail reform, which the League also supports. We are pleased to announce that we have our first in-person voter education program in more than 2 years, coming up on Saturday, March 19th at Dunbar Pavilion. It will be a music and art-filled celebration of Tucson with a focus on education and featuring star MC Lupita Murillo from KVOA News 4. We are also very excited to announce that we will resume our in-person Running and Winning program this fall. Running and Winning introduces high school age girls to women in elected office and engages them in a mock campaign exercise to demonstrate that running for elected office is an option open to them. We know that some girls who have participated in this program have later run for public office. Your support today at our biggest fundraising event of the year helps us to continue this work. Thank you. And a special thank you to our generous sponsors for today's event: TMC Healthcare, Cox Communications, Pima Council on Aging, Southwest Gas Corporation, Cushfield and Wakeman Pecor, El Rio Health, Holua Loa Companies, HSL Properties, Pasquayaqui Tribe, Thomas R. Brown Foundations, Tucson Electric Power, the American Association of University Women of Tucson, and Desert Diamond casinos, as well as the individual league members who helped sponsor this event. I would also like to thank the 2022 Issues and Eggs Committee, chaired by Pat Markey. We gather today to honor and celebrate women of Greater Tucson powering democracy. This year, League members nominated women in our community who exemplify women powering democracy. These honorees are truly inspiring, all 12 of them, and will give us all one more reason to be proud to call Greater Tucson home. We are delighted to share with you this brief video featuring the first 6 honorees. This year, League members nominated women in our community who exemplify women powering democracy. We are delighted to share with you this brief video featuring the first 6 honorees. The League honors the Honorable Kristen Randall, Pima County Constable.
I'm incredibly honored to receive this award from the League of Women Voters. I've felt like the League of Women Voters is a part of my journey. I received the Fran Gartside Award in Binghamton University when I was going to college, and the League also hosted the forum when I had applied for the position of constable. When we're given the chance to serve our community and make a difference with the most vulnerable in our community, I think that we need to serve with determination, grit, and creativity, and I am deeply honored to receive this.
The League honors Ms. Alice Sidonki, Project Coordinator, American Indian Language Institute, the University of Arizona.
My name is Alice Sidonki. I'm Kiowa and Tohono. Throughout my career that includes positions at the Smithsonian Institution, the Arizona State Museum, and the American Indian Language Development Institute at the University of Arizona, it has been my privilege to work in collaboration with Native American tribes to help revitalize and sustain the deep-rooted cultural practices that are the foundation of many tribal nations in this country, and to provide opportunities to promote and sustain them for future generations of Native American people.
The League honors Elizabeth C. Smith, Esquire, Attorney at Law, Duffield, Adamson, and Hellenbolt, PC.
I'm a Tucson-based attorney practicing in the areas of elder law and estate planning. I have learned so much from listening to my clients. In the world of law, as with everything else, knowledge is power. As I try to elevate my clients' understanding of their rights and choices, including the right to live and die with dignity, my goal is that we all come away with greater knowledge and empowerment.
The League honors Ms. Kate Vesely, Pima County Director of Justice Services.
My 20th year working in our local justice system, I've had the benefit of seeing how our community has grown and changed. I've seen Pima County emerge as a national leader in criminal justice reform. I believe my biggest contribution has been in sensing a sense of hope in the work that we all do, that there is good to be found in every person, and belief that people can change, that their past is not their future, recovery is obtainable, mindsets can be changed, and hearts can be healed. I see a very bright future for our community in this work. Thank you for this honor.
The League honors Barbara Warren, MD, Executive Director, Physicians for Social Responsibility, Arizona. The League honors Ms. Joanna Williams, Executive Director, Keno Border Initiative.
So I lead the Keno Border Initiative, which is a binational organization that responds to the realities of migrants in Nogales, Mexico, through humanitarian assistance, education, and advocacy. And at KBI, I've launched a number of initiatives to advance migrants' rights, including a collaboration with the Florence Project to provide legal defense to migrants, as well as working with communities throughout the region of Central America and North America to transform encounter with migrants to solidarity, to action, to advocacy, to change policy.
Congratulations to our honorees. Early event registrants were entered into a raffle for 3 gift baskets. I'm pleased to announce our first 2 winners are Marianne Araldi and Cherie Meeks. Our League office will be in touch with you. And now, please join me in welcoming our moderator, Jan Lesher, Acting Administrator, Pima County. Jan is a past honoree of the Metropolitan Tucson Chamber of Commerce, Woman of the Year. Jan served as Chief of Staff to former Arizona Governor Janet Napolitano, and later as Chief of Staff for Operations at the Department of Homeland Security under Secretary Janet Napolitano. Jan is a member of our league. Jan?
Nancy, thank you. And thank you to all of you for being here today. We have such an incredible panel, but let me start first by, I think on behalf of all the panel, acknowledging and saying congratulations to the honorees today. That is just, it's an incredible group of inspiring women. And I know you'll see some more in a few minutes, but it's so delightful to see so many extraordinary women doing so much in this county. So thank you to all of you. And thank you again to the League of Women Voters. I am always amazed at the work that the League is doing and that they do every single day, helping us get people registered to vote, to make sure people have access to voting and to all of the important issues of the day. So Nancy, Brenda, all of you involved with the League every day, thank you so much. And now on to our incredible panel. My job right now is to introduce the panelists to you and then get out of their way and let them chat with you about these issues. We will have about 5 or 10 minutes left at the end for questions. So if you have any, please, I'll try to keep an eye on the chat or also just be thinking about what questions might be. So I'm now going to introduce the 3 panelists and then ask them to just in turn begin to speak. So thank you so much. Our first panelist, thank you, Adriana Kong Romero, is president of the Bank of America in Tucson. And it's in that role that she connects businesses and families and individuals to banking and investment teams. Additionally, she works to deploy resources across the region to address social and economic concerns and build strong communities. In addition to her work, Adriana serves on the board of Sun Corridor, Inc. She's a member of the Southern Arizona Leadership Council, the University of Arizona's Eller College Center for Leadership and Ethnics Advisory Board, and the Hispanic Community Council as well. In 2021, she was recognized in Biz Tucson as part of the Women Leading the Region, and in 2021 was the most influential woman in Arizona honoree. So in a moment, we'll hear from Adriana, but thank you so much for your work at the bank and for all you do. Our next speaker will be Ashley LaRussa, who founded Rue Events in 2019. It's an event management company with a primary focus on supporting the growth of organizations and community leaders that foster equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts and initiatives. She's the project lead at the largest accessible directory of Black businesses in Arizona, blacksfriday.com, and I'm going to be sure to say BLAXFRIDAY.com, because if you haven't gone to it yet, go to it now and look at it. Not right now, go wait until the panel's done, then you can go look at it. But Ashley serves on the local First Arizona Steering Committee and the BIPOC Fund Committee and African American Legacy Fund Board. Ashley, welcome, and we look forward to hearing from you in a moment. And then Peggy Hutchinson, the CEO of Primavera, which is a chartered NeighborWorks America community development organization, whose mission is to provide pathways out of poverty through safe, affordable housing, workforce development, and neighborhood revitalization. Peggy serves on the board as president of the board, of the National NeighborWorks Association, and is on the board of directors of Growth Partners Arizona, which provides loans to help empower economically distressed communities. So as you can see, we have an incredible group of women who are going to be talking about a variety of issues that help us access real justice in the community. Adriana, let's go back and start with you if we might.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. Good morning, I'm Adriana Kong Romero. As president for Bank of America in Tucson, I lead efforts locally to make financial lives better for our employees, our clients, and the Tucson community. As part of the work, we are dedicated to driving progress and addressing pressing societal issues facing the communities that we serve. It's to no one's surprise, the last 2 years have been challenging for all of us. And we had to navigate the effects of a global pandemic, which brought challenges that highlighted the importance of a continued commitment to strengthening our communities. That's why in 2020, in response to calls for racial and social justice in our nation, Bank of America expanded our longstanding work to advance racial equality and ensure economic opportunity for all. Bank of America made a commitment to invest $1.25 billion over 5 years to address economic and racial inequality accelerated by the pandemic. Today, I am proud to say we have already committed more than $350 million across the nation in key areas of jobs, small business, housing, and healthcare, with more than $1.5 million going to support local efforts in the Tucson community. Throughout the country, we have established partnerships with historically Black colleges and universities, Hispanic serving institutions, and community colleges, as well as with other business and community leaders like us that are focused on building skills and creating job opportunities. In Tucson, we were able to invest $1 million and expand our partnership with Pima Community College over the next 4 years. The investment was above our regular philanthropic giving, which in 2021 enabled us to grant more than $1 million to nonprofit partners focused on advancing access to basic needs, workforce development, and affordable housing efforts in our community. Through key partnerships with organizations like Pima Community College and others like Primavera, El Rio, Community Healthcare, and many others, we believe that together we can advance economic mobility and help break the cycle of poverty for individuals and families in Tucson. In addition to our community efforts to deliver the best for our clients, we recently made some significant changes to our overdraft services. Last month, we eliminated the fee for non-sufficient funds, and in May, we will reduce overdraft fees from $35 to $10 and eliminate transfer fees associated with overdraft protection services. These changes are a powerful combination of essential solutions that will provide our clients with a low and no cost, easy to use offerings that can help them budget, save, and spend and borrow carefully and confidently. We're also committed to investing in our employees. Last year, we raised our minimum hourly wage to $21, and we will raise it $1 with the goal of achieving a $25 minimum hourly wage by the year 2025. Through this effort, we continue to be an industry leader, having increased our minimum wage by 121% since 2010. These programs are in addition to offering best-in-class benefits package to ensure we deliver on our promise to be a great place to work for all of our employees. So as many of you know, this is Women's History Month, and it's my honor to be part of this panel of great women making history. But earlier this week, in recognition of Women's History Month, Bank of America announced a further expansion of the Bank of America Institute for Women Entrepreneurship at Cornell University. Due to the program's success, Bank of America will add an additional 50,000 seats, bringing the total enrollment of small business owners to 100,000. This will enable women entrepreneurs, but specifically women entrepreneurs of color, to gain critical business acumen to drive their businesses forward. This expansion is just one way that the company is delivering on its commitment to advance racial equality and economic opportunity. In addition, we have connected nearly 40,000 women from more than 85 countries to mentoring and skill building to help them develop their business acumen and procure loans to advance their businesses. At Bank of America, our purpose is to make financial lives better through the power of every connection. And today's event, I hope that it will provide an opportunity to learn from each other, build relationships, and generate collaborative ideas that will ensure our Tucson community is a great place to live and work. Thank you to the outstanding League of Women Voters team and the Issues and Eggs Planning Committee for putting together such a meaningful event. And thank you to everyone in attendance. I look forward to continuing the conversations and seeing the progress that we can make together to advance equality and opportunity in the Tucson community. Thank you.
Ashley, we're ready to hear from you. Looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you, Adriana.
Thank you. What a beautiful opportunity to be here this morning. I really appreciate the invitation and just to be able to represent Blacks Friday on this distinguished panel of women. So thank you all. To talk more about Blacks Friday, we had the beautiful opportunity of creating Blacks Friday, June 2020. Within a month, we were able to build a directory where all of our community members could visit and resource, as well as an app, which you can download on Android and iOS, as well as doing our first live event. Of course, during the pandemic, we wanted to make sure that we were addressing these issues safely. And so with our virtual event, we had a number of local Tucson Black business owners pitch an idea or product in the hopes of winning our prize. And during that time, we really found the need to recognize all of our entrepreneurs and small business owners here locally in Tucson. During that pitch event, we also heard directly from Black business owners the need for representation. And that's what Black Friday is about, representation and connecting. And so again, through this site and app, we're able to locate and find Black-owned businesses statewide. Now, when we first started this initiative, we knew there were a number of directories that had been created, but we found that they weren't created together collectively. We found ourselves in silos within our cities between Tempe, Phoenix, Sierra Vista. So it was so important to connect all of these cities together and build a directory we could all access. With that, we were also able to partner with the state of Black Arizona, who's also doing this work when it comes to data. Data is so important when we are looking for funding, access to capital, and building lasting partnerships. And so with our new partnership with State of Black Arizona, we're looking into the future on how we can use the directory and a database to make this information accessible to VCs, important political figures, and our community members. So again, we want to be a resource where you can find Black-owned businesses in Arizona. Now, looking back in June 2020, after accomplishing a website, app, and starting to connect business owners, we thought, how else could we serve our community here in Arizona? And we thought of initiatives such as building a holiday shopping guide, spelled HOLLA, holiday. And with this shopping guide, we were connecting business owners with the community depending upon the products they were selling seasonally. We also started a Black paper. The Black paper was really looking towards economic strategies that can help these businesses. And with those economic strategies, we were also looking at the history of Arizona, because in this beautiful state, we have a rich history when it comes to Black business owners, Black landowners, and what they have built towards the wonderful revenue of this state. And so with research, history, education, and resources, we were truly able to build a platform that everyone could look into and see how can we build up these businesses. When it comes to the state of Arizona, we do recognize that demographically, African-American and Black individuals fall just under 5%. And then we realize a part of that 5%, 1% are business owners. And it is so important to truly highlight and spotlight that 1%, hoping to grow up to 2 or 3% in the coming decades. So with you all this morning, I just really encourage you all to visit blacksfriday.com, see how you could support or even share the information that these businesses are doing. And I am, again, so very thankful to be able to be on this panel to talk about the issue of addressing, acknowledging Black-owned businesses and seeing collectively how we can grow as a state. Thank you all.
Ashley, thank you so much. We so appreciate those comments, and I'm sure there will be questions in a moment to start hearing more about the businesses. Peggy Hutchinson and all the work at Primavera that you've been doing forever. Thank you so much for what you do in the community. And if you could please share some of what you've learned about social justice with our group today.
Sure, thank you so much. What a privilege to join this panel. And I just want to express gratitude to the League of Women Voters, for all of your work on democracy empowerment. I firmly believe that we will not realize full and abundant racial, economic, social, and environmental justice until everyone has full access to democracy and justice. So thank you so much. We all know that home matters. It matters, and facts tell us that home matters to economic outcomes, employment outcomes, public health and wellness, public safety, our economy, our environment, and even our climate. home matters. And yet, despite that, our nation has struggled with an affordable housing crisis, not just since the pandemic and the tsunami of evictions, but for more than 50 years. And so how is it that a nation that's so wealthy and powerful has not put home first, or at least made sure that home is woven into creating economic, racial, and health justice in all of those areas? You know, in Tucson and Pima County, in this community that is just a special community because of our partnerships, we all get it, right? And yet 75% of low-income renters in Tucson and Pima County, most of them who are working, they struggle with being cost burdened on their rent. So that means that they're paying more than, say, 32% of their income on rent. That means that they are on the brink of eviction, brink of not knowing where they're going to live. And, you know, for a single mom with children who struggles, do I pay rent or do I take my child who's having an asthma attack to the emergency room? That is just unjust, and it is not necessary. So we know there's a crisis, and I'm not even going to tell you statistics because it'll kind of depress us. We know that Arizona has the 19th highest housing wage in the US. And we know that not just since the pandemic, but really starting way back at the Great Recession, it's just ramped up since the pandemic, that we have outside investors that are purchasing up affordable housing units. And there's really no way that we can compete with that. So it's huge. And when the pandemic came, you know, all of us in really in the nonprofit sector, but also the public sector and even business sector, we stepped back and we said, you know what, in a crisis, we are defined by what we do. And I am so proud of this community because we came together. You know, we put together an eviction prevention coalition. We didn't think just about individuals and families, but we thought about our community. We thought about our neighborhoods. We thought about community systems. And, you know, we said, what can we do, not just to support individuals, help prevent eviction, or those that are evicted, get them back into housing, but we also said, what can we do to adjust our systems, right? To see if there's ways that we can prevent eviction. I think we also learned that, you know, even with this, you know, a great investment from the federal government, $900 billion. I don't even know how to figure out what that is, but $900 billion in relief, and then another 1.9 trillion around, you know, responding to the crisis since the pandemic. Even that is not enough. So what have we learned? I think at Primavera, you know, we're coming up on a 40th anniversary. 9 years old, and we were started not as a social service organization, but as a social justice organization to try to bring equity of opportunity. And at the same time, that meant we had to make sure that people had access to home and, you know, those wraparound services. What we learned at Primavera is our success is directly proportional to the strength of our partnerships, and partnerships matter. And when the pandemic came along, we had already been working with El Rio, you know, federally qualified healthcare center, but we also ramped that up. We also, you know, Pima County Health Department said, how can you work with us in disinvested neighborhoods? Who would have thought we'd have to learn how to do contact tracing? I don't even know. I'd heard of it, probably had no idea what it was. That's what we were doing. Who would have thought that we would have been making sure that the neighborhoods that are distressed and folks that are struggling on the street, or those who are just struggling in poverty, could get access to vaccines, could get access to getting tested. And so, you know, it's really, for me, it's such a joy to have partnerships that say, yeah, we will do this in the midst of this injustice in which we are living. That doesn't have to be, we will still make a difference. We will still work together. We also learned, I think, through the years Primavera has, you know, we started as an organization to address homelessness, but what we've become is this comprehensive community development organization that focuses on social determinants of health. Because home matters means we have to think about everything. You know, we have to think about not just individuals, but about neighborhoods, about all of those components of social determinants of health. We've learned that, but really, really important, and this connects to the democratic process, is voice matters and agency matters. We work with folks who have experienced multi-generational years of trauma, multi-generational families struggling for basic needs, people that have experienced accumulated trauma. This nation, occupied indigenous lands and through the slave trade, Jim Crow. That's what we're addressing. And so we've got to understand that if people are going to have a voice and if they're going to be engaged in the democratic process, we have to ensure that their voice matters no matter where they are, that they have dignity, even if they're struggling on the street. We have to make sure that the democratic process is woven into everything we do around voice and agency and access and justice. So those are our challenges. Okay, legislation, I'm just going to lift up a few. We work at the federal level, we work at the state level, we work at the local level, because we've got to address the systems that create and really invest in injustice. We've got to turn that totally around. At the national level, we're working on with a lot of coalitions to increase affordable housing supply, to increase rural investment, because you know what? 86% of persistent poverty in this nation, in the counties in this nation, are rural. We've got to continue to invest in equitable homeownership assistance. And Adriana was talking about that. How do we make sure that folks have access? African Americans, Indigenous, Latinx families, they got to have access to economic empowerment. And Ashley's talking about Black Friday. That is what it's about. We've got to think about community-oriented lending, accessibility, those are critical. I also want to mention very quickly unintended consequences of legislation. So Primavera and a coalition were very involved in getting the Fight for 15 on the city ballot. Right now, we're struggling with a legislature that wants to get rid of people's voice, wants to get rid of our democratic process of ballot initiatives. And if they're successful, that means all the work that we do on ballot initiatives like $15 a wage, $15 an hour wage will be removed. Let me bring up another one. She was recently killed in the Arizona House, and it's important to understand because it was legislation 2674. It was designed to increase affordable housing, but you know what it was designed to do was take any kind of local decision-making out, take it away. And I can tell you, we were presenting to the city of South Tucson a neighborhood revitalization plan, and the mayor said, we've got to make sure that that legislation doesn't go through, even though we know we need affordable housing in our community. So we've got to pay attention to that. I heard this morning, I'm outraged, there are almost 100 bills in our state legislature that will restrict voting access. So the league gets it. We've got to continue that fight. We've got to continue to focus on those areas of justice, thinking about people, place, and communities. And finally, I just want to say, we at Primavera, and I think our whole community, we're privileged. We are in a special place, and that's not propaganda. I hear this from colleagues up in Phoenix, up in the north, right? We are so unique, and so let's build and invest in that uniqueness. We care. We know that what we do together, not just as individuals, not as individual entities, but together, when we weave that tapestry together, when we are in a crisis, we are defined by what we do. And let us not get discouraged. Let us not lose hope, because that's really the last part of humanity, right? Losing our hope. So let us continue to be strengthened. Let's continue to do that work for democracy, for full justice, for full equity of opportunity, and make sure that we carry that vision forward for generations to come. Thank you so much.
And Peggy, thank you so much. And to all of our panelists, we do have some questions, but I think as we've all been hearing today, you think of the concept of social justice, and it's clear that there's so many aspects and so many opportunities to actually impact this as individuals in the community. Adriana, I want to go back to you for a moment, because as you were talking, first of all, just little things like the, changing the overdraft charges, you begin to realize it can have such a significant impact. And so thank you to you and to the bank for that, and the minimum wage. But one thing I'd like to ask you about for some of our folks that are watching today, you indicated that Bank of America has supported this community to the tune of, I think, $1.5 million. as individuals or businesses who are watching now, how can they learn from that experience to whom they should be giving dollars, and how do you make the greatest impact? I think frequently people wonder, will a large check be too much for an organization to hold? How do you know who are the right ones? And you're clearly a leader in that philanthropic participation in the community. So what can people learn from your direction on that?
Yeah. No, great question. And I mean, there's so many great organizations throughout the community, but there's also a big need. And so as the foundation, that's why we've narrowed it down to really focusing on what we can impact. The critical needs, affordable housing, and workforce development. Because those are some of the key foundations in building these pillars, especially as you heard Peggy talk about this. And as we do this, though, we can't just do it ourselves. And as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to build a thriving community. And it's building these partnerships, with the nonprofits, private, public sector, that we can all come together because we all want Tucson to succeed. And so we can't do it alone. And it's going to be us coming together to really, put together a vision, a plan to move forward and have that concerted effort. But, as far as, the different organizations, it's really looking at also what people are passionate about, because, I'm not going to, I love animals too, they bring a lot of joy. So I'm not going to say, those aren't important, or, if there's others that organizations, because we do have a lot, but, it's going to also be what's your passion within the community, but then also there's those that have multiplier effects too. So it's really looking at the organizations, how are they utilizing their dollars, and what impact are they having in the community.
Thank you. Well, and Ashley, I think that leads into, I believe, as we indicated, you are a member of the board of the African American Legacy Fund. So I would appreciate if you would, 2 questions, I guess, for you. One, talk a little bit about what that fund might do to the community and how people might get involved as well with that. And second question, before you finish, if you would, please. I know in the past you've had pop-up events. I think I've heard about that as you talked with the league panel in the past, and I would love for the group to know and the community to hear if there's another one planned and what we might look forward to there. So thank you for any insight you might offer us now.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you. We're definitely truly privileged to have the opportunity with African American Legacy Fund to focus in on local African American and Black individuals that are working in nonprofit, that are students, that are also business owners. And so that fund is supported under the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona, and they have just been beautiful partners when it comes to recognizing the issues and how we could address it when it comes to access to capital and finances. Under that fund, which has been going on since the late 90s, I have been so happy to be able to be on the board these past 2 years and learn how they are navigating through connecting each other. And so if you haven't heard of the African American Legacy Fund, I do encourage you to check out our website on the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona. I'd also like to mention our BIPOC Community Fund, which was created in 2021. That's supported by the Community Investment Corporation. And this came out of looking at traditional lending and seeing how we could address issues when it comes to access to capital. And with that fund, we have a 0% APR. There's no reason for you to be worrying about interest as you're a small business owner looking for access. And we also wanted to hear directly from business owners on what their needs were and how they would use the fund. And so if you have an opportunity, please also visit Community Investment Corporation, BIPOC, which stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color Community Fund. And lastly, our pop-up events. Another way of truly being able to meet business owners and put a face behind a brand is seeing them out in the community. And so we started an initiative called Soul Food Wednesdays, which started at Hotel Congress, and now we're at the MSA Annex. So if you're here locally in Tucson, please visit us every last Wednesday of the month. We'll be there year round. Thank you to the partners at the Annex and Mercado, so that you can meet business owners selling their wares. We found that this was also helpful for business owners that are into e-commerce. They may not have a brick and mortar or a physical presence. So how else, besides being online, could they access new customers, clients, and partners? So check out Soul Food Wednesdays. We usually have 2 Black-owned food trucks and over 20 business owners and vendors.
Thank you. That sounds fantastic. So, Peggy, I want to chat with you for a second and hear from the group, because as you indicated, sort of houselessness is such an issue and pretty hard to do much else if you don't have a place in which you and your family can feel safe and get some rest and respite from the world these days. As you mentioned, a lot of dollars coming in through the federal initiatives. And as a result of either the CARES Act or ARPA, a variety of funds made possible in COVID relief, a lot of dollars are coming in. And some of that is a double-edged sword, I think, sometimes, in that people begin to think, you've got so much money right now, we can go worry about something else. What is your plan for the future? How do we migrate off of what might be short-term dollars or one-time funding made available through the federal government to make sure that it is the base that we need to move forward to continue to address the problem? My guess is that no matter how much they give you through the federal government right now, the problem's not solved, and that we will be having to address it in the future. So what is your plan for that, and how can all the individuals watching today plug in with you to make sure that we do have a continuum in the future?
Sure, great question. I think we always have to make sure that we always need to make sure that we're thinking strategically and we're planning strategically. So really all of the ARPA fund and all the funds coming in to address the current crisis are, I see, only more like emergency, a solution or emergency response to people in crisis. It's not a strategic response. It's not looking for, investment that address systemic injustice and systemic causes of why people are struggling. So while we support people in their immediate crisis, we also need to be working on a variety of other strategies. So legislatively, we're working on the Hill to make sure that the government, and not just the executive branch, but certainly the Congress, are really looking to invest over the long term. When I said that we had a 50-year crisis of affordable housing, it's not going to get solved by this money, coming in. That's an immediate kind of, which I don't want to say bad things about Band-Aids, but it's an immediate response, and we've got to make sure that people are safe and healthy. But it's not a strategy to address all of the injustice that we are struggling with. So that's a key one. I think secondly, we need to look at what have we learned from expanding our partnerships, because what's happened is many of us have had multiple partnerships, but we ended up adding more and then expanding them. And that can be challenging, right? When you're working in a coalition and you want democracy within that coalition, right? And you want diversity in that coalition, that takes time, right? To make sure everybody has a voice and to make sure that we're really weaving together all of those assets from our community. So I think we're learning how to do that. And we're learning how to work together to address systemic injustice. So for example, during the very beginning of the tsunami of evictions, Administrator Chuck Huckleberry said, let's pull a bunch of folks together, organizations together, to look at what can we do to tweak our systems, whether it's eviction court, whether it's looking at those nonprofits that are working together to provide those services. People should not have to wait. What are even our, data systems? How do we make sure that it's easy for people to get access? We can't assume that everyone has broadband. We can't assume that everyone has a cell phone. We also work together to address undocumented or mixed documented families who are facing eviction. And what we said, I said, look, we'll step up. We don't want any money to pay for staff. We want all of those resources to go to the struggling families. So I think we've learned a lot around how we work together in coalitions and collaboratives to not just address immediate emergency needs, but how do we strategically plan? How do we kind of weave that happen so that we're also addressing the systems, right? And we have a lot to go. We all use different data systems to know what bundled services impact among multiple partners at the public sector and the nonprofit sector and the for-profit sector is hard. Finally, our organization was founded by volunteers, and we see volunteers as part of our DNA. They are part of who we are. And what that does is two things. It makes a difference in terms of our bottom line, of course, right? Because we don't have enough staff and resources. But secondly, and I think this is even more important, volunteering is an opportunity wherever you volunteer to engage, to be relational, and to take down some of our stereotypes and our biases. Because when we have that human connection, when we really are fully present and we listen and we engage, we find out, oh, what I assumed and what I thought and what I thought was a fact is actually not the case. And so volunteering, and we know we have an abundant volunteer crew across our Pima County in Southern Arizona, but we can never have enough. So I think that's really important. And volunteering can include working on advocacy and on legislation. So we love volunteers and we want them all of us want them moving forward with us.
Peggy, thank you. Thank you so much to the panel, to Ashley and Peggy and Adriana. Thank you very much for being with us today. And a lot of work to be done, but it's good to hear that some members of our community and leaders such as you are helping us get there. So thank you. Thank you to the League for giving us an opportunity to chat about these important issues with the community. And with that, Nancy, I will turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jan. And thank you, Adriana, Ashley, and Peggy, for your important work and inspirational words. Now I'd like to announce our third door prize winner. And the winner is Grace Evans. We'll be in touch to deliver your gift basket. And now we are excited to honor our second group of Women Powering Democracy honorees. This year, League members nominated women in our community who exemplify women powering democracy. We are delighted to share with you this brief video featuring the second 6 honorees. The League honors the Honorable Gabriela Cáceres Kelly, Pima County Recorder.
Skuktash, this is Gabriela Cáceres Kelly. Hi, this is Gabriela Cáceres Kelly, the Pima County Recorder. I am the first Native American to be elected to a countywide seat here in Pima County, and only the third to hold a countywide seat in the state of Arizona. My proudest accomplishment this year has been the re-establishing of the Pascoyaqui early voting site on the Pascoyaqui Nation. And I want to thank you all for this award. Taihogi.
The League honors Ms. Ana Chavarin, Community Organizer, Pima County Interfaith Council.
Good morning, everyone. I am very happy to be here with you today on Zoom. I am an immigrant from Mexico. I came here in 2003, and I have been always interested in social justice because as an immigrant, I can see the need in the community for immigrants. I organize because I have experienced injustice in my life, and I have experienced injustice in my community. One example of this injustice is not having COVID vaccines in low-income communities at the beginning of the pandemic. And we work with the health department to bring those to where the communities needed it the most.
The League honors Ms. Rachel Edgebean, educator, Sunnyside Unified School District.
I am a proud public school teacher and also a trained theologian. So as a public school teacher, I always encourage my students to be the best at who they are and work to create a strong community. As a theologian and church leader, I have worked with creating and helping churches to support strong public schools, both locally and across our country.
The League honors Ms. Marguerite Peg Harmon, CEO, Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona.
My most meaningful opportunities for the cause of social justice has been the privilege of working with people who are deaf and people with other disabilities to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act, to work with people who are migrants to search for immigration reform and justice, and to work with people who are income challenged and who have the opportunity themselves to find justice economically in our communities.
The League honors Ms. April Ignacio, founder, Indivisible Tono, and community liaison, Tono Otam Nation. The League honors Ms. Maria Orozco, assistant professor of practice, the University of Arizona, and co-director of Pathways to Teaching.
The most meaningful and important contributions to social justice is the outreach to potential future educators who may already be part of the school and community and have expressed a high interest in pursuing their passion in education. It is important to mentor, guide, and connect prospective future educators to information and networks in order to begin and complete their path towards becoming a teacher in our community school.
Congratulations to our honorees. Your support is critical to our work of empowering voters and defending democracy. Please consider donating today. And if you are not already a League member, please join us. We can use your help. You can donate or join at lwvtucson.org. Thank you for your support of today's event and for supporting your League of Women Voters of Greater Tucson. We hope to see you in person at the Dunbar Pavilion, 325 West 2nd Street, for our first in-person voter education event in 2 years. Come at 9:30 for Pueblo High School's Mariachi Aztlan, and 10 o'clock for the program. We look forward to working with you this election season to make sure all Arizonans are empowered and inspired to make democracy work this fall. Thank you.